Need to lose fat quickly, but you don't have a ton of time to do it? We'll take you through the day-by-day formula to lose nearly 10 pounds in just 2 weeks. What is up, y'alls? We're gonna break down how to lose nearly 10 pounds over just 14 days with all the information and details that you're gonna need. I will say the process is very simple, but I know it is not easy. Doing this correctly means the majority of this weight loss will be fat and water weight, since the priority is still retaining as much lean muscle mass as possible. Now, before we get into the day-by-day plan, we're gonna start with the 8 rules that are critical to follow throughout these 2 weeks and are just general good rules of thumb. Number 1, prioritize protein intake, aiming for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. 2, incorporate some form of resistance training a minimum of 5 days a week. Very important since we will be on a calorie deficit. 3, stay properly hydrated. 4, weigh yourself at nearly the same time each day. You don't want to compare your morning weight when you just wake up to your full weight at night just before going to bed. 5, target 10,000 daily steps, as we never want our metabolism to be stagnant during these 2 weeks. 6, 90% of your food over these 2 weeks needs to be high quality, healthy food. Even on a calorie surplus day, you don't want to fill this surplus with cookies, cake, and donuts. 7, probably the most important, aiming for 8 hours of sleep every day over these 2 weeks to ensure your body is recovering properly and maintaining healthy hormone levels. Number 8, all of these calorie delta targets I'm going to cover throughout the video are within a plus or minus 100 calorie range. Now let's get into the day-by-day breakdown. Day 0, I started at 230.2 pounds. Since we are kicking this off with an 84-hour fast, for the general population in average health, there shouldn't be any issues with extended fasting outside of a little discomfort in trying something new. But please, if you have any pre-existing health conditions, verify with your physician that an extended fast won't exacerbate anything prior to trying this out. My last calories consumed was dinner of day 0, right around 7 p.m., which means we'll have our next meal on day 4 at 7 a.m. Day 1, we're already down to 224 pounds. Most of that being water weight, but we may very well have already burned 0.5 to 1 pound of pure fat since we are already 24 hours fasted and did a full body workout for the day. Extremely important on extended fast to prioritize proper hydration with the serving of a 0-calorie electrolyte powder twice a day. Here's the one I personally use, link is in the description below. Additionally, also critical to prioritize some form of full body weight training each day you are on a fast. This is important because we want to remind the body that we still need these muscles so that it doesn't remove our lean body mass to compensate for our energy deficit and instead targets pure body fat for energy production. Day 2, continuing our 84-hour fast, focusing on hydration and another full body workout for the day. Down to 220.4 pounds, down nearly 10 pounds in just the first 2 days, but realistically only 1 to 2 pounds of this is pure fat loss. Day 3, last full day of our 84-hour fast, energy level is going to be a little low and performing a very low intensity, low volume full body workout, but still giving our body that reminder to retain that lean muscle mass, down nearly 12 pounds already at 218.8 pounds, potentially up to 2 to 3 pounds of that being pure fat loss. Outside of just melting away body fat, multi-day fasting has a ridiculous amount of direct and indirect benefits that you can check out in one of our previous videos. Day 4, finally get to break our 84-hour fast. Food is going to taste like heaven today, and we're going to go straight into a 400 calorie surplus to ensure we're losing minimal lean muscle mass. Weight is going to spike back up as your body retains more water and you have some additional food mass within your body. We're up to 223.6 pounds. I didn't lift this day to let my body recover from the full body workouts these last 3 days without any food. Day 5, we're going right back into a deficit of 500 calories. In my experience for these short-term plans, I've seen distinct fat loss and muscle retention results when alternating calorie deficit and surplus days. Although I'll never really recommend this method for long-term nutritional plans, this short-term 2-week sprint program thrives on this principle. I train legs to take advantage of the extra energy available from yesterday's calorie surplus, up to 226 pounds, and really reflecting that we potentially lost close to 3 pounds of pure fat over the last 5 days. Day 6, back down to a 600 calorie deficit to continue burning off that fat. Worked arms and shoulders since I was a little lower on energy, chose a muscle grouping that's a little less taxing on my CNS, back down to 223.4 pounds. Day 7, halfway through, did a light full body workout, some extra calories with a 200 surplus for that leg day recovery, down to just around 223 pounds. Day 8, another rest day, keeping on the 200 surplus calories to build and maintain that muscle fullness while we're on this recovery day, up to 224 pounds. Day 9, taking advantage of the consecutive days of surplus calories, hitting a heavy back and tricep day, last surplus day of this 2-week program, nothing too high, sticking to about a 300 calorie surplus. Day 10, hit a full body workout and starting our final stretch of calorie deficit days to burn off some last small pockets of fat with a 500 calorie deficit. Day 11, a little lower energy towards the end of this 2-week fat loss sprint, so went with the rest and recovery day since back and tris were still a little sore from day 9. Sticking with a 500 calorie deficit, just around 221 pounds. Day 12, on the home stretch here, got to tough out a leg day on a 500 calorie deficit, burn some of those extra calories and spike up some testosterone and HGH production to maximize the muscle retention on this general calorie deficit. Day 13, last 2 days, going back to a maintenance diet, aiming for 0 delta between calorie expenditure and intake to retain some fullness in our muscles for our target day, hitting chest and buys right around 222 pounds. Day 14, final day with a full body workout on another maintenance diet, ending weight of 221.6 pounds. Overall, we are down 8.6 pounds in just 14 days, while still maintaining most, if not all, of our existing lean muscle mass and strength, thanks to sprinkling in some surplus days and finishing off on a maintenance to ensure our muscles are still keeping some fullness. Depending on how active you were during the fasting days, anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds of this weight loss will be pure fat, with maybe between a quarter to a full pound at the most being muscle mass loss and the remainder being lost water weight. You can see a significant difference in leanness throughout the upper body. Some abs are starting to poke through, much better chest, arms, and shoulder definition. Significantly less fat in the lower back region, good definition showing up in the triceps, especially in the upper back and shoulders. You can see a decent amount of fat loss there as well. Finally, from the side, you can see a huge difference in belly fat, just with how far my stomach was sticking out with respect to my chest previously, and really highlighting how much definition we've uncovered in the triceps and shoulders. The areas in which someone loses belly fat is 100% genetic, since it is impossible to spot reduced fat. I have always noticed my arms are one of the first areas to lean out when I started losing fat, and that's really stayed consistent here over these 2 weeks. So unfortunately, you could be cursed with losing fat in your extremities first and keeping it in your midsection like I am, or you could be blessed with genetics that prioritize burning belly fat first and keeps your arms and legs looking a little bit bigger. It's all just your genetic luck of the draw, honestly. Here's a few additional bonuses if you're trying to look your best with your shirt off. Number 1, shave body hair. You can see a huge difference between these 2 photos taken only 1 day apart. Removing just my chest hair really improves the visible definition in your muscle, and more muscle definition you can display, the bigger you're going to look. Number 2, get a tan. Same concept as shaving with improving our overall visible muscle definition. These photos are taken 1 day apart when I got some sun at the beach, and it seems like I lost a few pounds of fat from simply just getting a little darker in the sun. Number 3, if you're taking pictures with your shirt off, maximizing the resolution of your camera is critical. Look at the comparison across these 3 different photos. You're really going to wash out any visible muscle definition you have the lower you get in your camera resolution. So max out your image size and you'll maximize the look of that muscle definition. If you're interested in hearing the reasoning behind some of these concepts in this plan, stick around for the last few minutes of the video. I'm going to get into some basic physics talk, but hear me out. Now, I'm an aerospace engineer for my day job, and I work with control systems for aircraft and spacecraft on a frequent basis. There is a huge parallel to the human body in weight management because ultimately it is just a control system of nature. Here's a plot of a response to a shock or impulse on a mechanical control system. Compare this to the shock or impulse response that we put on our body during a fast. They are so similar in their profile and show how the physical laws of nature apply to all control systems, either mechanical or biological. We always want an optimized active control system. That's why on these short-term diets, we oscillate a bit between a surplus and a deficit in order to take advantage of these quick periods of muscle retention or even muscle building, as well as optimizing these short spurts of fat burning. Our overall net on this cycle, you can see a general downward trend in our weight as our body hones in on a steady state. And here's an example of how my weight fluctuates going straight back to a maintenance diet after a fast to remove the variable of alternating between a surplus and deficit. Again, very similar response profile. This really represents our more extreme 2-week sprint diet, but the concept remains the same even on a longer steady state diet plan. Sorry for the small digression from our overall 2-week plan breakdown, but I really enjoy seeing these natural similarities and scientific principles across vastly different applications, and it gives a bit of a backstory to how and why I like to structure some of these plans in certain formats. Well, I hope you learned something new today. Hope this information helps you look your best when you're on a crunch for time for an upcoming outing or event. Until next time, peace out.